Welcome to the Edufaith Essentials Educational Podcast. Edufaith Essentials is an educational podcast that provides essential information and tips about education, leadership, and topics about diverse learners. Diverse learners include students with individual education plans, services under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, Section 504 services, English speakers of other languages, and interventions. Edufaith Essentials' mission is to bring positive awareness to promote equity and inclusion in education by sharing topics about non-traditional learners. Edufaith Essentials' goal is to restore faith in education one student at a time by empowering listeners with knowledge. We all know that knowledge is power, so let's be powerful. Edufaith, EDU, education, and faith, trusting or believing in one's ability. Edufaith would love for you to join our family, so subscribe at www.edufaithconsulting.com and make sure you subscribe to the Edufaith Essentials YouTube page. I'm your host, Dr. Nakia. Thank you for joining me today. As always, sending you good vibes, love, peace, and happiness. Welcome to our December episode of the Edufaith Essentials podcast. We are going to do a 2025 Rewind, Insights, Impact, and Inspiration, all about inclusion, as we do our year in review, and we'll discuss the top 10 stories related to inclusion, special education, and IDEA on this month's episode. Now let's dive in with our Edufaith inspirational story. As the holiday season approaches, many families look forward to joyful traditions such as visiting Santa, taking holiday photos, decorating, and celebrating the season. However, for the families with children who have autism or sensory sensitivities, the usual hustle and bustle, loud noises, and overwhelming crowds can turn these traditions into sources of stress rather than joy. And this is where Sensory Santa comes into play. This is from Berman Autism Centers, and they are offering a series of free, sensory-friendly holiday celebrations in multiple states, providing children with autism and other developmental and inclusive and supportive opportunity to enjoy the magic of visiting Santa. This is very special because it's offering that supportive, calm environment for families, featuring quiet rooms for sensory breaks and activities, with winter-themed activities and games that enhance communication and motor skills. Led by trained clinicians that either cater to children with autism and other developmental differences, they ensure that there's flexibility in how children interact with Santa. All families, regardless of background, are welcome to participate. It's a holiday tradition, and many families have the opportunity now to enjoy free photos and have those meaningful interactions without the stress of crowds and noises, ensuring that holiday cheer and belonging for children is there for all children, regardless of their sensory needs. Sensory Santa isn't just an event, it reflects dignity, respect, and love for all children. By accommodating each children's unique sensory needs, the Berman Autism Center demonstrates a value of compassion, inclusion, and community support. If you know a family or a caregiver looking for an inclusive holiday experience, please share Sensory Santa and look for other Sensory Santa opportunities in your neighborhood and your community, because this is very, very prevalent and important now. It can make a difference in celebrating joy, having those memories, having those photos, and enjoying the holiday season. Kudos to Berman Autism Centers for looking into how we can support all students and celebrate all students with enjoying Santa and enjoying that whole holiday experience. As we close out with the Edufaith inspirational story, I want to say, may this holiday season remind us that the greatest gifts are empathy, kindness, and courage to make spaces for everyone. And this story will be on the Edufaith Essentials YouTube page with the link. And that is it for our Edufaith inspirational story for the month of December. Now let's dive into our dates to remember for the month of December. Yes, we are in December already. December is Human Rights Month. December 1st is World AIDS Day. December 2nd is Special Education Day, and this is the day in which Congress signed certain legislation to allow for special education services. So happy birthday for Special Education Day, December 2nd. I discuss it a little bit more in my books and the history behind it and when this all came into play as far as IDEA, inclusion, the Americans with Disabilities Act. December 3rd is International Day or of persons with disabilities. December 5th is International Volunteer Day. December 5th through 9th is Inclusive Schools Week. We are celebrating inclusion throughout the month of December. December 9th through the 15th is Computer Science Education Week. December 10th is Human Rights Day. December 14th through December 22nd is Hanukkah 2025. December 25th is Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. December 26th through January 1st is Kwanzaa. Happy Kwanzaa. And December 31st is New Year's Eve. And as we look into 2026, I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope you have a warm, safe holiday season. And thank you for your constant support. Now it's time for breaking news. Our news stories for December 2025. We're going to start with a couple of stories as we get into November 25th. An article in Education Week discussed how recent changes and staff cuts at the department have caused some families to lose trust in the process for reporting problems. Despite this, advocates are encouraging parents to keep filing complaints of children's rights under laws like IDEA or Section 504 are being violated. The article highlights that even though the system is under pressure, federal protections for civil rights are still in place. Filing complaints is still one of the main ways for parents to hold schools accountable. Advocates warn that if parents don't stay alert, many issues may go unnoticed and remain unaddressed, particularly in schools struggling with money or staffing. Special education services are under risk for the federal cuts. I've mentioned this story before, but this one was released November 18th, and I just want to touch back on it. A report from November 18, 2025 highlighted concerns about significant budget cuts across the U.S. Department of Education, which could negatively impact special education services across the country. These cuts have raised alarms about how potential disruptions to essential support programs for students with disabilities, such as individual education plans and early intervening services. Advocates are worried that fewer federal staff will be available to ensure that schools are following the law and providing necessary resources. Many students may struggle to access the services they need, and they're urging everyone, state and local leaders, as well as families and my listeners, to stay alert and take action to protect the students of these rights during this challenging time. That last story was dated November 18, 2025, and with the impact of that is where the story that I just mentioned, the first story, November 21st, 2025, where it's advocating parents to keep filing disability complaints. So because of the budget cuts from the story November 18th, the outcome and from Education Week, they're advising parents to file complaints because they know that there's a shortage of services to make sure that their child is getting those services. So those are two of our essential news stories. The third story is the U.S. Department of Education is restructuring special education. On November 19th, 2025, a report from Disability Scoop highlighted that some offices are being cut as part of a big reorganization, but the Special Education Office will continue to operate for now. However, advocates caution that there may be more instability in the future. The report raises concerns that even with the office still in place, a reduction in federal support could weaken its ability to oversee, assist, and enforce important regulations. This could potentially undo progress made in education and rights for individuals with disabilities. The next story, advocacy groups join lawsuit to protect DOE and IDEA rights. On November 25th, 2025, the ARC of the United States announced that it had joined an important lawsuit called Somerville Public Schools et al. Versus Trump et al. This legal action is aimed to stopping federal efforts that could weaken the parts of the education system, specifically that protect the rights of students with disabilities. The lawsuit argues that these federal actions threaten vital protections that many students with disabilities depend on to receive the education they deserve. If the system that enforces these protections are damaged or removed, it could put at risk the ability of countless students to access a quality education. This case could determine whether the federal government continues to play an important role in overseeing special education in our schools, and that came from the ARC. And that is it for Essential News All of the essential news seem to have that one underlying theme: cuts to special education and federal cuts, advocating to make sure that your child continues to get those services, and then the advocacy groups all working together to ensure that special education remains at the forefront and that all students are getting all the service that they need, whether they have a special education IEP or a Section 504 plan. Essential news is aligned with protecting and advocating for students' rights. And that is it for our December Essential News. Now let's shift to Essential Knowledge. For Essential Knowledge today, we are going to recap the top 10 stories of special education. I know we've talked about news and all the news sounds pretty similar, but let's recap 2025 and how 2025 aligned with supporting students with disabilities. We're going to go month by month, and I'm going to highlight the top 10 stories. The first story is federal guidance reinforces inclusive education requirements. At the beginning of January 2025, the U.S. Department sent out an important letter to schools highlighting the importance of including all students, especially those with disabilities, in general education classes and activities. The letter stressed that schools should make sure that students with disabilities can take part in extracurricular activities, challenging courses, and are fully integrated into regular classrooms. It also reminded school districts that they need to clarify, document, and justify any decisions to move students with disabilities out of general education based on solid data. This letter sparked a lot of discussions across the states and school districts. Many of them took the opportunity to review their placement practices, checking to see if they were unintentionally placing too many students in separate classrooms. Schools across the country held training sessions focused on improving teamwork between teachers, providing different levels of support for students, and using a teaching approach that accommodates all learners. The key takeaway from the letter was clear. Inclusion is essential, and simply following the rules is not enough. The quality of education matters greatly. And that story was from January 2025. The next story is also January 2025, and this was a national spotlight on restraint and seclusion. In early 2025, the Education Secretary made a strong public statement against the wrong use of restraint and seclusion in schools, emphasizing that it's an important civil rights issue. This statement came after investigations and parent stories revealed a troubling incidents, including students with disabilities. The secretary called for schools to quickly start using better methods such as positive behavior interventions and supports, trauma-informed approaches to help students calm down, and restorative practice that focus on repairing harm rather than just punishment. Advocacy groups welcomed this announcement, but pointed out that states need to improve how they report these incidents and enforce rules. In response, several states' legislators began reviewing and tightening their policies. For schools, this increased focus means that there is a greater need to train staff, keep better records on incidents, and assess how well they're supporting students with behavioral challenges. This important issue is likely to remain a spotlight as we move into 2026. The next story is OCR's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Guidance sparks national backlash and confusion. And this came out from February to April 2025. In February, the Office of Civil Rights released a memo that interpreted recent Supreme Court decisions concerning diversity, equity, and inclusion, often referred to as DEI. This memo sparked a lot of debate and concern. It proposed new restrictions on programs that consider race in educational settings funded by the government. As a result, many schools and universities started to rethink their DEI offices, support programs, and hiring practices. Disability advocates worried that the suggestions in the memo could negatively impact efforts to promote fairness for everyone, especially those with disabilities. Over the following months, various groups, including unions and civil rights organizations, raised legal challenges and made statements to seek clarification on the memos. Many schools temporarily stopped DEI-related trainings for teachers while legal experts reviewed the guidance. This situation highlighted the important connection between disability rights and overall civil rights, showing how sudden changes in federal policies can disrupt efforts to create inclusive environments in schools. The next story is Universal Design by Learning, UDL gains traction nationwide. And this is from January to April 2025. The universal design for learning is gaining popularity across many school districts, with various states now including it in their teaching plans and professional training requirements. This shift represents a move from making adjustments for students only when necessary to designing lessons and materials that are accessible to everyone right from the start. In many schools, UDL has helped improve teamwork between general education teachers and special education teachers. Educators have found that using UDL strategies lead to fewer behavior problems in the classrooms, boosts student participation, and reduces the need for last-minute changes to support students. This trend shows that including all students in learning isn't just about where they sit in the classroom, it's about how lessons are created in the first place. The next story was in March 2025, and it's about assistive technology and AI breakthroughs. The 2025 CSUN Assistive Technology Conference highlighted some exciting advancements and tools designed to help people with disabilities. Among the innovations were features like personalized captioning that creates subtitles on the fly, systems that describe images in real time, reading aids that adapt to individual needs, and communication devices powered by artificial intelligence. Many presenters shared how these technologies can help students with visual impairments, dyslexia, or communication challenges. While educators were thrilled about the potential of these tools, they also expressed some concerns. They're worried about how reliable and accurate these technologies are, as well as issues related to privacy and the risks depending on too much machines or too many machines. As a result, school districts started looking into setting guidelines for how to use AI tools in IEPs to ensure that these technologies support teachers and students without replacing the valuable human touch in education. The next story was dated March 2025 to July, and this is all about the national focus on transition to adulthood and employment outcomes. Recent research and evaluations for 2025 brought attention to pressing for better supports for students with disabilities as they prepare for life after school. The studies revealed that having paid work experiences during high school plays a significant role in finding jobs as adults. However, opportunities such as experiences differ great from one school district to another. In response, states are focusing more on providing pre employment transition services, which help students get connected to job experiences early on through partnerships with local communities. At the same time, families and advocacy groups are pushing for clearer plans for transitioning out of school, improved collaboration with vocational rehabilitation services, and better training for teachers and staff. Employers are also looking for and showing interest into tapping into these often overlooked talent pools. Overall, the information paints a hopeful picture of progress, emphasizing the importance of giving students real world opportunities to thrive in their careers. The next story is from spring 2025 to summer 2025. Social media platforms roll out mass accessibility features. Big social media platforms like TikTok, Meta, and Instagram have introduced new use of artificial intelligence to make their sites more accessible. These features include things like automated descriptions for images, alternative text, better navigation for screen readers, and improved captioning for videos. People with disabilities, especially those who are blind or have low vision, as well as students who rely on captions, welcome these updates since they make using the platforms much easier. However, some creators and educators raise concerns and questions about how accurate these descriptions really are. They worry that AI might misidentify sensitive content or give misleading information. As a result, advocates for people with disabilities are encouraging creators to learn how to write high quality manual descriptions instead of solely depending on AI. This conversation highlights a significant change. Accessibility is no longer just a specialized topic, it's becoming a part of daily discussions. June 2025, the Supreme Court expands civil rights remedies for students with disabilities. The Supreme Court decision in AJT versus Osceola area schools marked a crucial victory for disability rights in 2025. It clarified that students with disabilities can seek financial compensation for discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act without going through special education due process first. This ruling made it easier for families to pursue civil rights claims directly. It emphasized that discrimination and inadequate special education services are different issues, allowing students to challenge unfair treatment. school districts began assessing how this will impact them, anticipating an increase in lawsuits related to bullying, restraint, segregation, harassment based on a disability. For families and advocates, this decision represented a significant step towards accountability and ensuring students can access justice more easily. The next story for 2025, this occurred during mid 2025 and it's been ongoing the rest of the year. And it's all about severe special education staffing shortages. And those shortages have intensified in 2025 and they're still ongoing. The shortage of special education staff has become increasingly serious in 2025. Many states reporting a record number of open positions for special education teachers, speech and language pathologists, school psychologists, and paraprofessionals. Many schools turn to using long-term substitutes and teachers with emergency-only certifications, which raise concerns about the quality of support being provided to students and whether they're meeting legal requirements. In many cases, being understaffed also led to burnout for existing staff who struggle to keep up with their responsibilities. In response, some states develop programs to train new educators within their communities, offered tuition-free education, and created pathways for paraprofessionals to become teachers. However, these solutions take time to implement. Many educators believe that without improving working conditions, such as lowering the number of students each teacher is responsible for, offering better pay, providing emotional support, if these things don't happen, then staffing shortages will persist. These issues affect many important areas, including compliance with individual education plans, the quality of interventions, student success, and the well-being of teachers. And then our final story that's been going on throughout 2020-25 is dyslexia laws, state policies, and local litigation. Many states are enacting laws to screen for dyslexia, resulting in changes in early reading education. These laws require all students be checked for dyslexia, use effective teaching methods, train teachers properly, and ensure early support for those in need. Schools are working hard to meet these requirements as more students are identified as needing assistance. At the same time, there have been lawsuits about disability rights, highlighting issues like access to public services and school discipline. These cases show that the demand for better support for students with disabilities is growing, and schools must adapt quickly. In 2025, educators and families have been faced with both challenges and progress in these areas. And those are our top 10 stories for 2025 in December related to inclusion. And some of these stories will probably carry over into 2026. And as we talk about 2026, let me go ahead and shift. Let's discuss some trends to watch in 2026. Some trends to watch in 2026, new guidelines using AI for special education. This aligned with the story I mentioned earlier about AI and helping support students. In the future, we can expect clearer rules from the federal government about how AI can be used in individual education plans to help support students with disabilities and now remain with that human, authentic touch. This includes making sure student data is kept private and that AI tools are being used accurately. States might develop their own guidelines to support this in 2026. Additionally, federal oversight and inclusion placement. Starting in 2026, the federal government is likely to increase its monitoring to show how students are placed in different educational settings. This will focus on ensuring that students with disabilities are being included in the least restrictive environment, examining patterns of discipline that may unfairly affect these students and checking on issues of segregation. Once again, this story also aligns with 2025. It seems like some of the restraint, seclusion, insurance services, and proper services are going to spill into 2026. The next story, growing demand for accessible educational technology. Schools are increasingly seeking educational technology products that are easy for all students, including those with disabilities, to use. This push for better accessibility is being driven by the new rise in AI tools, recent lawsuits, and purchasing guidelines. As we look forward to 2025 and beyond, we want to make sure that we continue to stay the course. But as we move into 2026, we want to be aware of AI tools, restraint and seclusion. I also anticipate transition will continue to be something that's prevalent in 2026. The teachers shortage, staffing shortage, and ways to retain that, and then advocacy groups and advocating and making sure that services are all aligned for students. So these are the things we have to look forward to in 2026, but this is a reflection of 2025. There's been a lot of insights, a lot of impacts, and a lot of inspiration, but there's still a lot of work to do. And as we move forward, we want to remain steadfast. We want to stay positive and continuously make positive changes in our spaces and our communities. Advocacy is going to be the key to implementing meaningful changes, whether you are a teacher, a leader, or a parent, and making sure that we all working together in the community, which is why I've really focused on leveraging all our resources and having that village approach, because we have to all work together to make sure that we carry hope into the new year, embrace the potential of positive change, and remind ourselves that together we can build a more inclusive future for all learners. And that is it for our essential knowledge, our recap of the top 10 stories of 2025 and what we can look forward to in 2026. As we approach the holiday season, I want to remind you to gift a copy of an essential tip book. Maybe you have a teacher, a parent, a friend. All of my books are available on Amazon. They make great Christmas gifts. Gift an essential tips book. They're available on Amazon. Essential tips for parents, coordinators, special education leaders, and educators. Let's start 2026 off right with new books for our parents, teachers, and leaders as we gift books and get essential. Support Edufaith on Buzzsprout. And then we're going to go ahead and dive into our word of wisdom for today. Our word of wisdom, just looking and reflecting on everything that's happened in 2025 and how we're going to move forward positively in 2026 despite adversity. I want you all to remember that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. As we reflect on 2025 and prepare for 2026, let's continue to have that passport of education and prepare to move forward to continuously make changes. And that quote came from Malcolm X. And that is our word of wisdom for the month of December. I want to encourage you to get essential and explore resources that truly support your journey in education, parenthood, and leadership. I've written a variety of books specifically designed for leaders, educators, parents, and Section 504 coordinators. Each one created to inspire action, build capacity, and strengthen impact. All of my books are available on Amazon and the Edufaith Consulting website. Be sure to follow me on Amazon under Dr. Nakia Simmons Cotton to stay updated on new releases and empowering content created just for you. We have essential tips for special education leaders, essential tips for educators, essential tips for Section 504 coordinators, and essential tips for parents. Now it's time to share. I enjoy connecting with listeners, offering advice, and answering questions, and sharing inspirational stories. I want to use this platform to share and care. Essential advice is your turn to ask for advice or share good news. The letters will remain anonymous and the stories will be featured on the podcast. Sharing is caring. Please email me at edufaithforall@gmail.com. That is EDUFAITH, the number 4ALL@gmail.com. All listeners should adhere to district policies, follow protocols, remain ethical, and adhere to guidelines in the best interest of children. Edufaith Essentials does not assume responsibility or is legally liable for anyone's actions based on the information in this podcast. Before I go, I want to invite you to subscribe to www.edufaithconsulting.com to stay connected and informed. When you subscribe, you'll receive a monthly newsletter packed with fresh resources, leadership tips, and an insightful blog to support your growth as an educator, leader, or parent. www.edufaithconsulting.com. Scroll down, enter your email address, and click subscribe. Don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Edufaith Essentials YouTube page, where you'll find practical videos, interviews, and essential strategies designed to empower your work and purpose. Let's grow together, stay connected, and stay equipped. Get essential. At Edufaith Educational Services, we are committed to equipping families, educators, and leaders with tools, training, and support they need to thrive in today's educational landscape. In addition to our podcast, we provide a wide variety of educational services designed to address the needs of parents, support with disability services, meeting advocacy, service explanations, educators, guidance, coaching, professional development, and leaders, training, professional coaching, leadership coaching, and support with diverse learners and programs. We also specialize in college and accommodation advocacy, including SAT and ACT accommodation support, college and career readiness coaching, and parent education training for schools, organizations, and community groups. Our expertise extends to program development and review, including Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Section 504, and inclusive practice frameworks. We offer customized professional development for schools, districts, nonprofits, and businesses focused on supporting diverse learners and inclusive education. Edufaith is also proud to offer trainings based on our impactful Essential Tips book series, including Essential Tips for Special Education Leaders, Essential Tips for Section 504 Coordinators, and Essential Tips for Parents and Educators. These sessions provide practical strategies, compliance guidance, and leadership insight grounded in real work experience and align with current educational policies. Go to www.edufaithconsulting.com to see what Edufaith can do to support you. Don't forget to follow Edufaith on social media to stay connected, inspired, and informed. Join us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the Edufaith Essentials YouTube page, TikTok, and other social media platforms for daily tips, encouragement, upcoming events, and behind-the-scenes updates. Whether you're a parent, educator, or a leader, our social media platforms offer valuable content, community engagement, and practical strategies to support your journey. Stay in the know and be a part of the movement. Follow Edufaith today. As we close out, I want to thank you for listening to today's episode and thank you for staying connected to the Edufaith Essentials podcast. Don't miss a moment to listen to the Edufaith Essentials podcast on your favorite platforms, including Pandora, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all other podcast platforms, including Buzzsprout. All links to the podcast and information is easily accessible on the Edufaith Essentials YouTube page. Tune in, subscribe, and join us as we inspire and equip you every step of the way. Dr. Nakia here signing off, reminding you to be the light, be the change, love someone. Let's restore faith in education one student at a time, and let's get essential.